So as we have two different services, so we'll have to create two different destination rule. Had we have only one service, then one destination rule would have sufficed. So I'm showing here both the destination rules in the same file, separated by 3 dash. Now, of course, API version, kind, and metadata are not here. So let's start with host. In host, we have the name of the service. So you already know that our main service is app.prod.svc.cluster.local. Then we mention multiple subsets. And here we have only one subset whose name is app service subset. Now after the name we have labels. In label we have app as app and version as v1. So what is this label means? So it is not labeling the subset. It is saying that select the pods with these two labels. So actually it should have been selected, but Istio decided to keep it as labels. So don't get confused this labels with the labels of Kubernetes, because in this case, in this Istio destination rules, labels actually mean the selector. So that's what we have mentioned. App and version v1 would be selected for this destination rule. And after that, the traffic policy that would be maintained for this subset. Now in traffic policy, you mentioned load balancer. There are various types of load balancers. I have mentioned simple and type round robin. Similarly, I have another destination rule, and this is for this service, the orange service. Host is of course the name of the service, which is app2.prod.svc.cluster.local. And then in subsets, I'm mentioning the name of the subset, and then labels. In this case, I'm selecting pods with label app as app2 and version as v1. And traffic policy is similar to the previous one. So now how do you relate these two things? So we have seen the virtual service YAML, and then we have also seen the destination rule YAML. Now how do you link these two things? In the previous slide, I did not mention anything in subset, so it was question marks. So it seems like this is where we relate this virtual service or this destination route to the particular destination rule. So we need to provide something in subset, which seems like in subset we have only name. So if you mention this name here, then this route would always take you to this destination, and this route would always take you to this destination. So if we change them like this, then our virtual service is complete. For the first destination, we are mentioning the destination rule to be in subset app service subset, which is nothing but the name of this destination rule. And then for the second one, we have app2-service-subset, which is nothing but this destination rule. Now, I have created two different destination rules because there are two different services. So the routing rules are meant for two different services, not in the same service. That's why I had to mention two different destination rules. Now this host part is very critical in the destination rule. So you have to make sure that the service host name is similar in both the virtual service YAML file and the destination rule YAML file. Now this is just one of the setup, and there are a lot of other configuration options in both virtual service and destination rule. So let me show you how to hover around the documentation, which can be a little complicated. And I'll use this example only. So let's say you have something like this, how to use the documentation to create your own YAML configuration files for Istio. Now I'll find the reference link of the documentation in the resources section. So I have mentioned here that this is the virtual service reference link, and this is the reference link for destination rule. This is our virtual service documentation. Now there are so many options. If you scroll down, you'll see that a lot of options are there. So how do you hover around? How do you find out or how do you use the documentation to write configuration files? The first thing that I would do is, once you come to virtual service, search for virtual service here, which is this one. So click on this virtual service, and here it is saying that you have to mention something called hosts, which is a string of array, and then you have other options like gateway, HTTP, TLS, etc. What we have seen in our example, we have only used hosts and HTTP. So let's take a look at hosts first. So this is our file. I could have mentioned multiple hosts, but I have mentioned only one host, that is for this service, which is app. Then we have HTTP. So HTTP is at the same level, but there are not much option mentioned here. So what does it say? HTTP is an ordered list of routing rules for HTTP traffic. Now what is that list? What is the syntax of the list? How do you find that out? Now if you see, this is a link. If you click this, it will take you to the route option. Under HTTP, what you should mention. You have named something called match, route, and other things. What we have used is only name and route. So see here in HTTP, I have used the name to be STO demo, and in route we have some other things. So these two belong under HTTP, wherein we mention the routing rules. So the actual routing rules are mentioned in route. So it says that HTTP route or HTTP rule can either redirect or forward traffic. We are mentioning some routes using something called destination. So how do you find the syntax of that further? So click on this link and it'll take you to HTTP route destination. Initially, it'll give you some examples. Under route, you can have multiple destinations. But if you scroll down, it'll give you the exact syntax. So there can be three things: destination, wait, and headers. We have just used destination in our file. So we have used multiple destinations because we can have multiple routing rules with multiple destinations. So it has to be an array. So what are the things that will put under destination? You can click on destination here, but before that we have wait also, which has already been mentioned here. It means that 80% of the traffic should go to this destination and 20% of the traffic should go to this destination. Now, how do you find the destination? There's one more link, and this is the document for destination. There's some example here with match and all. We'll see match later on, but right now scroll down and we have these three options: host, subset, and port selector. We have used only host and subset, and this is where it ends. We cannot go further. We cannot have any other option. So we have also mentioned host and subset. So host should be the name of the service where you want to send this traffic to, and subset would be the name of the subset from destination rule. So this is where virtual service ends, and then we'll go to destination rule. I wanted to show you this because this is how you actually see the documentation or use the documentation. So let's go to destination rule now, which I have already opened. So this is the page, and also you have multiple options, and if you scroll there are so many things. So as I said, as you have come for destination rule, search for destination rule here, which is this one. Now in destination rule you can have host, traffic policy, subsets. So let's go to our configuration. So we have host, which is nothing but the name of the service, and then subsets. In host, we mention the name of the service which this rule should be applied to, and then subsets and traffic policy. So I have not mentioned traffic policy in the destination rule. I have mentioned the traffic policy in subsets. So, and there are other options, export to, which I have not used. So subsets has some options, it seems. So if you click on subsets, it will take you to the syntax with some example. Now scroll down, these are the three options: name, labels, and traffic policy. Now name is the name of the subset which you have mentioned in the virtual service. Labels is actually the selector which is used to select the pods, and traffic policy has some options. So first let's take a look at our configuration. So this is our configuration. We have name, which is the name of the subset that has been mentioned in the virtual service. Then you have labels, which are nothing but the selectors for the pod, and then you have traffic policy. Now labels, you already know how do you work with selectors. I mentioned the key value pair of the pods. Then we have traffic policy, and seems like there are some options in traffic policy. So to find that option, you in traffic policy it is mentioned here, and these are the various options. You have load balancer option, you have connection pooling option, outlier detection, TLS, port level settings. So we have used load balancer. It depends which do you want to use, would completely depend on your use case. So in our case, I have just used load balancer to show you how it works. Now click on load balancer settings, and of course we have three options: simple, consistent hash, locality LB setting. I have used simple. If you click here, these are the options in simple: round robin, list connected, random, and pass through. In our configuration in traffic policy, I have used load balancer and then simple with option of round robin. I could have mentioned list connection, random or pass through also. But again, as I said, it depends on your use case. So this is how you use the documentation of Istio. Otherwise, it can be really confusing. Just to do a recap, we create virtual service and destination rules. So virtual service plus destination rules provide the routing rules that we intend to apply for our application. So in our case, we have an application, name of the service of the application is app, and we want 80% of the traffic to go to the existing service itself, and remaining 20% should go to a new service named app2. So that's all about virtual service and destination rules. Now let us go ahead and proceed towards the demo.